and welcome to this edition of Silicon Grapevine. My guest today is Mahesh Tirupattur, who's Executive VP of Analog Bits, and we're here in his office in sunny California. Hello, Mahesh.
Welcome. How are you, Nitin?
I'm good, thank you. Good. So Mahesh, tell me a little bit about you and Analog Bits. It's been an interesting journey for you, last 20 years, but
Yes.
tell us a little bit about yourselves and I think your expansion in Europe already. So tell us.
Yeah, so thank you again. Now, Analog Bits is a company which I call my middle child. It's literally the company existed before I joined, but I joined the company in 2003, marking myself to almost 21 years in end of June of this year. We passed the teenage phase of my life in this company, so it's gone off into a matured phase. The way I got into Analog Bits is the founder of Analog Bits, Alan Rogers, and I have known each other as friends and colleagues ever since Sun Microsystems back in the early 90s, and we worked together working on big microprocessor chips. And I've had a lot of technical respect for Alan for all the innovation and the ability to create novel designs. So while my previous company, we were involved in distributing some of the Analog Bits IP, I felt it was time for me to join the company and grow the company together with him. So I joined in 2003. We had big dreams. We still continue to have big dreams. I think that's one of the key things in this industry: dream big and don't give up. Yeah. We started finding niche markets for ourselves. We started off the business and doing PLL IPs, and at that time, it was a crowded market of 6 or 7 vendors, and we were somewhat the last one to enter the market, but yet we managed to find our position of leadership there and continue to innovate and add more products in the company. One of the most important things for us to build this team was having a great team of engineering talent. And not to put my VC friends down, but we just want to completely control this company to make sure that we take care of our customers. I joke in this company, VC means valuable customer. And so we pretty much built a company based on what the market needs and what the customer problems are. And we still continue to do so. We hold the pulse of the market in terms of what the technical challenges are and try to come up with designs which solve that problem. Yeah, we are two in a box and we are two different kind of people, but we have the common goals of integrity, passion for products, passion for excellence, and we don't give up and we just keep relentlessly trying. And there are places we have course corrected enormously as a company and as a team, as a behavior towards certain things. So that's part of the learning game, but both of us have a common mission, though our personalities are starkly different.
Yes. And you had a big event a couple of years ago with the acquisition, but that didn't really change things apart from change your life, probably.
Changed my life a little bit, but really the mission continues. It's in chapter 2 of our Analog Bits. Analog Bits was started by Alan, and so we had a corporate ownership, which was pretty much dominated by a few individuals. And when you have a company of that nature, to expand offshore, to have the corporation set up certain policies to expand offshore, were not impossible, but they were more challenging and would have taken a lot of our time. So one of the things that we decided was, why don't we have an exit and why don't we be a footprint of a larger company, in which case we can leverage what their global expansion plans are. The acquiring company, Semify, has been very pleasant and been wonderful to work with. They pretty much allowed us to operate the company independently without any interference in terms of what products we develop, what customer markets, what end products we go. And so that's given us a lot of freedom and at the same time the responsibility to build this company to the next level. So it's been a great ride. Of course, now that we have to just report financials a little bit more diligently, which is good. Those are some of the things that we missed, but now we can be fixing that and being more methodical about how we report.
And just to avoid confusion, because I think when I first saw that news. I confused it with the RISC-V company. It's not. It's a different company.
That's
it's in Korea.
correct. Yeah. The company, the ownership of the company is a company called Semify, and they're based in Korea. They sound like Sci-Fi, but the board members of Sci-Fi, in fact, the board members of Semify have a few people from Sci-Fi as well. So there is a sort of an indirect tie, because they all came under the same umbrella. They were all belong to the same umbrella, but they spun off and have independent companies. So yes, there's no association to RISC-V. We are purely an independent company.
Got it. Let's, the idea of the show is to go into a little bit about you as well. How did you get into, maybe start with your journey, how did you get into being interested in electronics or studying electronics? Was something influenced you at home or at school?
Yeah. So I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. My grandfather started his very first manufacturing company of electric motors in India, and my dad was his business person and also the person who took care of the factory operations. So right from my childhood, from 5-6 years old, I've always spent time at the factory, seeing how electric motors were built. Even my grandmother knew what a starter issue was, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
And our dinner conversation was always about electric motors and pumps.
And talk and stuff like that.
Right? And so it was a very interesting journey. And most of my summers I actually spent in the factory with my dad.
Was that in Coimbatore?
It was Coimbatore. That's like the southern part of India called Coimbatore. The family still has the business. My uncle still run that business. But it's a glorious memory for me because it sort of set the path for that I really wanted to be an entrepreneur someday.
Right.
And that dream has come true through Analog Bits to a great extent. And I did my electrical engineering in India in Coimbatore in a college called PSG Tech. And then I came to Arizona to do my grad school. My grad school work was in high voltage and power engineering.
Oh, okay.
But that market sucked for getting jobs in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And I had some VLSI classes, which were more like, okay, now you're going from, hundreds of volts to, a few millivolts.
Exactly.
And so the concept was similar. And clearly being electronics as one of my curiosity factor, VLSI was a natural fit. And my first job was at Sun Microsystems,
right,
designing the spark.
That was 90s, the early 90s.
Yeah, 92.
Yeah.
I was involved in designing the Viking microprocessor. That it was the first Spark Station 10 in home-built microprocessor. I still remember the day when I joined. The processor was not working right. And the big boss walks in and says, either you guys fix it or I'm going to fire every one of you. So that felt like a nice welcome.
Yeah.
But hey, that drove our passion up. But the team, what I learned from Sun is some of the smartest people I've worked with, including Alan, who was my mentor at Sun for all my circuit design, and some of the brightest minds. And not only were we bright and smart, but we really had a mission of creating some great things together. And many of my Sun fellow friends have gone off and founded companies and did great things, but we still keep in touch. But there's a lot of inspiration of how we had a can-do attitude with the lean and mean team and get products out quickly into the market.
Was that a Sun attitude or was it a Silicon Valley attitude?
I thought to some extent it was driven by companies like Sun.
Okay.
But clearly that transpired more to Silicon Valley attitude. I didn't see that behavior, for example, at that time at Intel or National Semiconductor, but Sun stood apart in terms of what we were able to do. And if you think about it, Sun was one of the earliest fabless companies. Like USTI is manufacturing, and we did BiCMOS process. So the whole era of fabless semiconductor pretty much started in the early 90s with companies like Sun trying to do this. And Intel was the other extreme, where from design to tools to manufacturing was completely integrated. But the world has evolved. But yeah, it kind of transpired more into the Silicon Valley attitude. If you can see, many of the Sun executives who are working there are now, top people at Google and Facebook and everywhere else.
Yeah.
So that can do that mission impossible.
Yeah.
Work 20 hours a day, go home, shower, and come right back.
Exactly.
To work.
Yeah.
was fun days. those days they used to give us free lunch, and that was a big thing.
Well, now you have the Google, Facebook.
That's right.
Doing all of that.
Yeah.
In fact, my taxi driver here was telling me about how Facebook just gives all these freebies. And then all of a sudden it be gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, one day it's there, another day it's gone.
Yeah.
So Sun was a great journey. And then being a design engineer, working for about 2.5 years in various design blocks in the microprocessor, I wanted to have a little bit more of a customer-facing role.
Okay.
So I moved to a company called Epic Design.
All right.
And Epic has just gone public when I joined. But what I loved about the company was the team and the energy.
Yeah.
It was a team of about 55 to 60 people when I joined the company. And then the great inspiration there was a person I still look up to. His name is Bernie Aronson. And he did what is classically called the management by walking around.
Right.
I don't think he read emails, but he knew everything about the company by just talking to people on a daily basis.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he did two rounds of the company, and he knew everything. And that was how I got inspired, how people matter a lot in your business. Great people can build great companies because they make smart moves to build it. And Bernie was clearly an example of one of my mentors and a person that I followed. And he was also subsequently a board member of one of the companies I joined after, called Virtual Silicon.
Right. Yeah. So it's quite interesting. You went from being in a family of power electronics to digital, and now analog. But so the stint at Virtual Silicon, was that more sort of non-exec or?
At Virtual Silicon, I got hired to be running the marketing. At that point. And eventually, I was running pretty much all of sales in the company.
Okay.
I learned a lot. I learned a lot by mistakes, and I learned a lot by success as well.
Yeah.
Virtual Silicon was designing libraries for UMC predominantly, pretty much when I started pivoting the company towards that. And we were suppliers of memory compilers and IOs. And one of the things that we did was come up with the concept of PLL compiler, which Alan and I were walking along the street, and he said, what about if we come up with a product like this? And he said, people would buy this? I said, yeah, let's just dump all this analog and make it so easy to use that people will never have to worry about it. So let's make this PLLs for these analog macros for the digital boys, so they don't need to worry about anything.
That was the era when the EDA IP sort of movement was also growing very significantly, the digital IP.
Correct. Yeah, the foundries were starting to give away the IPs, and then Artisan came around, and they were giving away free libraries, and Virtual Silicon did the same thing with UMC and some of the other foundry partners. So the whole concept of the free library, royalty model, everything started getting endorsed, and then you could sell value-added IP on top of the free library. Yeah, it was a great learning experience for me working with the various foundries around the world and having access to key customers, building the relationship, knowing what really mattered in the industry for a successful product. Does not need to be 100% of all the specs that my lovely engineers would love to do. You got to get a product out because Christmas is not moving, and customers have to get the products out for Christmas. So that level of trade-offs on what's got to get done was very important learning experience for me.
And so, from Virtual Silicon to Analog Bits, so Alan had already started the company, and then he asked you to come along, or?
Yeah. Alan has been trying to convince me for the longest time, and I think it took a little too late. But hey, I had to write my journey. So Virtual Silicon, I joined in 97, and then I was there for a good 6 years, and then that's when I moved on to Virtual Analog Bits. Virtual Silicon, my learning experiences were how to raise money from venture capitalists and how venture capitalists react to companies' positions in the market. It was good and bad. In many ways, I learned what the values of companies are and what the investors are looking for from a return of investment. So we raised a lot of money. We raised over almost $95 million, and I was right in the thick of it from the beginning, from seed funding all the way to the Series C. And also learning how global customer behavior is. I think I really fell in love with Japan after being at Virtual Silicon, managing all the Japan business, large clients like Sony, Fujitsu, Oki at that time, Renesas, being a part of the Nintendo design team and doing great things with NEC. Well, we're all great, fun projects. But then I took all that knowledge and said, how can I do this faster and better at analog bits? And here we have a talented engineering team. How can we grow this faster but not get killed in the market with the big guys and stay our line of focus and course? And that was a great learning experience.
And, I think ever since I've known you, I think one of the things I think is quite valuable from what you just said is those networks that you built around the world. Everybody knows you, everybody loves you. And it's just, is that how you manage to get sort of success? Or, what do you say about those networks and how important they are?
It's interesting. I used to take my sons to all these TSMC trade shows and symposiums, and just like my dad exposed me to his company when I was in my early youth. And my younger son asked me a question, Dad, what makes successful business people, or what makes you a successful salesperson? I said, I think there are three things. And I had to come up with a very quick answer for this young 12-year-old boy. He said, well, first, make sure they like you, right? I mean, you don't want to be disliked by someone saying that, oh, you have an attitude. Be humble, be jolly, be nice. Second, learn to earn their trust. Right. And just because they like you doesn't mean they're going to trust you.
Yeah.
So it's got to come over a period of time. And third, don't mess up 1 and 2. Make sure they still like you. Don't lose their trust. Because if they're going to do business with you, it's going to be a lot with trust and commitment. And you better deliver to what you promised. So I think that those are the simple 3 ingredients I taught my son. I still sort of live close to that. And, our business is about relationships and about solving problems for customers. And, I'd like to do it in a fun way and everyone's here to make money and everyone's got a business to run. And I think the customers also value that. Yeah. But at the same time, there is a nice way of doing it and there is a tough negotiation way of doing it. Okay, I've been in tough negotiation meetings as well, but I had to draw a hard line, but at least you can make it more fun and jolly.
I think you're known as Mr. Wine Man. And and I think you do try and make it fun with, I don't think you go to the business straight away. You're like very friendly and make that connection, as you say.
Yeah, the connection is important, yes. And wine was a good way to make a good connection as well.
So did you have that passion? Just digressing, did you have that passion for wine all along, or did you evolve it being here in the Valley? Because, you do love your wine and you know your wine. You whenever we go out, you seem to know the good ones and that's a good ones.
It's funny you asked the question, and it actually stems from being a foodie. As you can see in my cross section, I'm a foodie. My mom is a wonderful cook, and she still cooks very well. And when she's here next time, you're welcome to come home. Yeah. And as a child, I was growing up, one of the things which just kind of grew in me was smell. I could smell how the food is being cooked, and I could find flaws, or I could find good things in what was going on. And so, this ability to smell things was always there as I grew up. When I started learning wine, the first thing they taught us is there's only 3 things you need to know about wine: sight, nose, and palate. And the guy said, there are 5,000 aroma profiles, and there's only 4 or 5 on your taste buds. So if you can smell things and discreetly compartmentalize, you can become a sommelier.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that doesn't sound that difficult. Let me give it a go. So clearly, that was one of the things. But clearly, I did love wine. But by moving to California, I was a novice wine drinker. I was just drinking cheap stuff. But then over time, I just got to refine my palate. And, travel is another big passion of mine. As you can see pictures of Africa. And some of them are actually wineries there too.
Yeah.
And traveling to each country and knowing vineyards which are there and how they grow it and what the organic practices are. It was just an intellectual curiosity. Right. So every time I went on a trip to Europe, I always figured out what the wine what wine was there. And so when COVID hit, obviously all the travel came to a stop, and I needed something besides work. I mean, yeah, you can exercise, but what do you want to do besides that? Yeah. And so I started studying wine deeply, and I got my third level sommelier and some Italian wine scholar and French wine scholar. Then I also missed Japan so much that I started learning sake as well. And so it was a great journey. So the 2-year pandemic, which I thought I would study all this after retiring, all happened out of order. Yeah. And I'm enjoying that.
That's pretty good. Yeah. What do you feel is your biggest sort of achievement in life, and what have been the things you'd rather forget?
Personally, I'm very proud that I have 2 amazing boys. I think if that is one thing that, I'm really proud of, is we've had our challenges growing, bringing the boys, and being a single parent and being an entrepreneur has had challenges. But I think I've course corrected myself. I've learned a lot from my own sons, a lot. I still continue to learn from them, especially all these AI models. And so that's been one of the things. And it's also helped me be patient and empathetic with people building companies, because end of the day, your company is built with great people, and guiding them and being a leader for them relentlessly and passionately is very important. And therefore, I kind of took my own behavior into work as well, and sort of treated my employees as my own family and made sure they were taken care of and the company was taken care of. So the head of household responsibility kind of transpired into work as well. Yeah. So I think I'm gratified that I've had this opportunity, and Analog Bits is my family. Every employee here is near and dear to me. And I'm glad that we built a great community of engineers, and we've been able to do great stuff. So I'm very proud of what we have built as a company with no funding, and just pretty much building the company with bootstrapping with customers and businesses. And also I'm proud to be the dad for 2 lovely boys.
And I guess in terms of what are the things that keep you going in this industry? Because obviously everybody I interview is passionate and is really into the technology. Some are into they're talking about the future of autonomous cars. Some are talking about moonshots and stuff like that. What excites you?
Well, firstly, the energy of this industry, right? I mean, I think we've grown up in this industry for 30 plus years. This is what we know, and this is what we're good at. And, can I go do a software company? Yeah, maybe, but it's not my cup of tea. I won't be excited about it. I'm personally excited about semiconductors. I love electronics. I love to see what's coming up next. AI machine modeling, the amount of GPUs, matrix multiplication done in different ways, and what sort of empowering applications that come about it. So I'm in love with semiconductors. I think that's in my blood. And anything around surrounding our industry excites me. And second, I get excited to meet the friends in the industry, and each of us have gone off and done something great and sharing their journey. I don't see my retirement in the horizon, because I just love what I do. And it's purposeful, it's meaningful. You're making an impact to the world, you're making an impact to the community, you're making an impact to your employees and their families. So I find this fascinating, that I love just being back at work, and that's in my DNA.
And what's the best bit of technology you use on a daily basis? Now, obviously, the phone is one of those, but I guess, is there something that, I
love my Tesla.
Oh, you look at this. Okay.
I know people have all had these different opinions of which car is better. I'm just fascinated by how much technology that's in that car. Yeah. The decisions this car makes. I think last year when it was flooding all over, there was a wall of water around me, and I was driving in the middle, and there were 2 cars on either side, and one car was actually changing the lane illegally. My car actually automatically slowed it down. And I'm like, I didn't do anything, but the car had the vision to do it. I'm pretty excited about how much our technology is impacting the world. What I'm also happy is, as a company like Analog Bits, we are enabling all of these applications.
Yeah.
5 years ago, automotive was a high reach for us. Today, we are designed into many automotive chips. We have got the certifications for, ASIL B and ISO, and just getting into that market and enabling that market is fantastic. Space applications is very exciting, to see these satellites go up, and companies like SpaceX fascinate me a lot. And personally, I'm an Elon Musk fan, so I know it may not be politically correct, but I love his intellectual nature. But these are the things that excite me: semiconductor systems and what's out there, and what the future possibilities are.
Right. So tell me, I think you gave advice to your son, but what advice would you give to young you if you were starting out again?
Yeah, be passionate, don't give up, fail fast, and recover quick. And failures are not a reason that you should not try something again and again and again. It took me 3 startups to get here. It seems like an easy journey, but it was tough. I learned everything in every place, and eventually we got it right. And now I think we can do better. So I would say be passionate, and also build network of good people around you and learn from people. There are great mentors and people that you can follow and get inspired by, and just follow certain companies and what they've done and how you can mimic or kind of follow the same pattern of their success. And also, I know the youth of today haven't seen the struggles of what we have done. Maybe they're lucky, or maybe they've not seen the other side. But do be prepared for certain worst case scenarios, because things may not work out in what your favor, and you might be in a very wind down path, but do recover out of that quickly, because there's always experienced people like us to ask for help in situations. So that's what I would tell my youth.
Excellent. Well, Mahesh, thank you very much.
Nitin, it's a pleasure, and it's always a pleasure to see you and have a glass of wine or two with you all the time. And thank you again, and welcome to California. Anytime you're here next time, we'll be happy to meet you again.
Thank you.